If you're still translating in your head before speaking Japanese, I want to tell you something important. You're probably making fluency much harder than it needs to be without realizing it. That 1 second delay before you answer is what creates those awkward silences where everyone is waiting. It is what makes your heart spy, is where the comes from even when you know the words. If you have ever had that moment where your brain just goes blank, even though you study, that frustration is completely normal. In this video, I'm going to show you a simple 3-step system that removes the translation delay at the source. No complicated tricks, just training your brain the right way. So what is actually happening when that pause hits? It's not that you don't know Japanese, it's that your brain hasn't automated the patterns yet. And when patterns aren't automatic, your brain falls back to translation. For most lower intermediate learners, that is a real bottleneck. You know the words, you studied the grammar, but because the patterns aren't familiar enough yet, your brain still has to process everything step by step. When you hear something like 今日は仕事が忙しかったから疲れた, your brain goes word by word. 今日 means today, 仕事 means work, 忙しい means busy, and by the time you processed it, the conversation has already moved on and you're left trying to jump back in, already feeling behind. That delay isn't a talent issue, it's a speed issue. And speed only comes from pattern familiarity. Here's where most people accidentally slow themselves down. They keep changing input. Anime one day, a business podcast that day, then a random blogging after that. Every time you jump between completely different styles, speed, and vocabulary levels, your brain has to readjust. It never hears the same patterns enough times to get fast at them. Fluency doesn't come from constant variety. It comes from familiarity. Variety is useful later, but if the basics aren't automatic yet, variety just forces your brain to reset over and over. Your brain gets faster at what it hears repeatedly. That is how every skill works. Driving, typing, even walking. At first, you think through every step and then your brain compresses the pattern. Language works the same way. Repetition builds automatic understanding. And this is exactly why I design my listening videos the way I do. They stay at one clear level. They repeat the same core sentence pattern and they don't constantly jump in difficulty. They're not random practice. They're structured for automation. So here's the rule. Pick one level. For example, simple Japanese listening practice and stay with it. Listen every day at the level where you can follow the topic without subtitles, even if you miss some details. That is a zone where your brain starts recognizing patterns instead of decoding them. If you stay with that level consistently, especially with structured listening like this channel is built around, speaking will start to feel less mental exhausting because you're no longer translating everything in real time. That is step 1. Even if your listening improves, you might still struggle to speak because recognition and production are two different skills. You can understand something perfectly and still freeze when it's your turn to talk. That hesitation isn't because you don't know Japanese, it's because you're constructing the sentence piece by piece. Let's say you want to say, I was busy so I couldn't go. You know the words, 忙しい, 行く, できない. But when it's time to speak, your brain had to build the sentence from scratch. 忙しかったから行く? 行けない? あれ? どう言うんだっけ? And by the time you figure it out, the conversation has already moved on. Fluent speakers don't consciously build sentences word by word. They pull out patterns they've already used before. So instead of memorizing single words, you memorize sentence chunks. For example, から行けなかった. Now, instead of building from zero, you just plug into the pattern. 忙しかったから行けなかった. And once you own that chunk, you can reuse it instantly. 残業があったから行けなかった. 雨だったから行けなかった. 時間がなかったから行けなかった. Same structure, different content. No construction, no translation, just substitution. That is when speaking starts to feel automatic instead of exhausting. And that is also why many of my listening videos repeat similar sentence frames across episodes, so those patterns become familiar enough to reuse. Listening builds recognition and chunks build structure, but response speed only improves when you force yourself to retrieve patterns out loud. Most people wait until they feel confident before they start speaking, but that is backwards. Confidence comes after repetition, not before. You don't need to live in Japan, and you don't need a conversation pattern. You just need to speak out loud in your room, in your car, or on your wall. When you hear 今日はカフェに行って友達と話した, repeat it, then modify it. 今日はスーパーに行って買い物した. At first, it feels awkward, and that's normal. You're forcing your brain to retrieve patterns out loud before it has time to translate. And that is what builds response speed. If you do this for 20 focused minutes a day, no scrolling, no pausing, your pauses start getting shorter. Not because you memorize more, but because your retrieval time drops, and that tiny shift, even half a second, feels huge. Try it consistently for 2 weeks before you judge it. That's when speaking stops feeling like a test and start feeling like a skill you actually own. If you have been studying for years and still feel stuck, that doesn't mean you're bad at Japanese. It just means no one showed you how to train for speed. This channel is built around that idea. The listening videos here are meant to be watched once and forgotten. They're meant to be repeated at the same level until the patterns feel automatic. That is how you move from translating to responding. Start with the listening video on the screen right now. Stay at that level. Repeat it daily. Let your brain do what it's designed to do. I'll see you there.